treating this patient's brother, and the patient attended with his brother and asked him whether I could look inside his ear at the same time. And what was quite ironic and humorous is that his ears were worse than his brother's, and it was his brothers that were the ones that we booked in to clean. And it took me a while back then to remove it from the patient's ears. I was obviously pretty good at what I was doing then, but I was still, the eye clear had just been developed, and I remember I was there for about half an hour, if not longer, just to remove it from both ears. And you can see the procedure today, or when I performed it last week and I'm uploading today, it's a lot quicker, a lot more efficient. I managed to do both ears within 10 minutes, and I would say there was the same amount of earwax. So the patient's got this really dense, dark, thick consistency of earwax. It's quite glutinous as well, and it's fully occluding. So what we mean by occluding is that the wax is taking up the entire ear canal, so there's no gaps or spaces, which can allow some air and sound to enter the ear and to vibrate against the eardrum. And when you've got really fully occluding earwax, it's very difficult to use any other instrumentation purely for that reason, because for me to use a hook or a Jobson horn, for example, there would need to be some sort of opening where I can glide the scoop, the correct in and behind the soft glutinous wax to bring it forwards. And because it's fully occluding, so when we say fully, we mean from the entrance to the eardrum, the inner 2/3 of the ear canal is very sensitive. It's a very thin layer of skin, less than 0.1 millimeters in thickness, that's coating the bony part of the ear canal, which makes it very sensitive if you do make contact with it. So I just have to persevere with suction here, microsuction, and we're using a lot of olive oil throughout the procedure. And the oil is trying to lubricate not only the suction tube, so quite often the wax can get trapped inside the suction tube as it's being sucked up. So the oil helps lubricate that, but it also helps to lubricate the ear canal walls if the oil can get kind of seep through, and it helps to bind the wax together. And you can see with this patient, you can see around the outer plug of the wax, you have this skin, the keratin. So this skin, it acts as double-sided sticky tape. Not only does it adhere itself to the canal walls, but the underneath layer, it envelopes itself around the plug of wax, so it engulfs it, and it makes it just much more tricky to remove. So we're doing quite well. We removed half of it. We're on the home straight now, and this plug of wax is probably in the last third of the ear canal, and around the eardrum we have a natural narrowing called the isthmus before the ear canal widens again, and quite often you can get wax stuck in the isthmus up against the eardrum, which makes it really hard to remove because it's lodged. So we're moving a larger plug of wax through a narrower ear canal, which always makes it more difficult. So I've just put some more oil in, and again, oil can also help in the sense, if you imagine you've got a ring that's stuck in your finger and you put a bit of soap there just to lubricate it, and it just facilitates the removal of the ring. And in the same way, the oil can act in the same manner. So this sticky wax, it's just blocked the tube there. I'm just trying to go for the top part of the ear canal now. So what was quite astonishing, on this occasion, the patient, since I met the patient 2015, he's since got married, so his wife also attended. They just had a recently born young boy, 6 months of age, and the mum was really concerned because we kind of know this wax is genetic because, as I said, the patient's brother also has similar problems, and brother, he was doing the right thing. He's attending quite regularly, like this patient. So there's a bit of a joke there. The brother was telling him off. Why haven't you gone to see Neil sooner? I go regularly. You need to get your ears cleaned because everyone's moaning, the TV's too loud. So the wife was slightly worried that their son would inherit the waxy gene. I did have a look inside the little boy's ear whilst they were here. There was a little bit of wax, but it wasn't blocking the ear, so fingers crossed it'll be okay. And he's got his mother's genes when it comes to earwax. So it managed to clear the whole ear canal, just some residual wax, staining wax. If we leave it, it's fine. I'm just hovering over it. It comes out easily. It's fine. If not, I'm just going to leave it. Eardrum's nice and healthy. I'm just mopping up some of the sticky wax on the outer part of the ear. So that's the left ear complete. And the right ear wasn't too dissimilar. It was a fully occluding, just like this side. And again, I just went in straight with the oil. I wasn't going to mess around here because the likelihood is it's the same consistency of wax which it was. And the idea here is I just want to lift it away from the canal wall. So I've lifted it off the base, you can see, and then to the back part of the ear canal to the right. And you can see there's little wriggle movements. I'm trying to detach and mobilise this plug of wax because it is stuck against the canal walls. So where we're working now, it's just probably about 0.5 to 1 centimetres into the ear canal. We can just see the hairs to the left, the cilia, which is on the first bend of the ear canal, which is about 0.5 centimetre into the ear. So this plug of wax is just beyond that. I've cleared the outer bit. And you can see the colour of the wax. It's almost the same colour as the skin, which can make the procedure sometimes a bit more difficult because the wax can camouflage itself against the canal wall. And you're just going to be really careful that you don't mistake the ear canal for the wax because it can be camouflaged. And the reason why it's dark is it's been there for a long time. It's been there for 6 years, I suspect. The patient does need regular ear cleaning, and they acknowledge that. And the difference it made to them, it was over the moon. We've got a suction machine. I'm just going to put the suction machine on. I'm next to it right now. And you'll hear the noise. Now, in terms of decibels, it's probably 70 to 80 decibels. So it's quieter than a lawnmower, but we're not, I would say it's quieter than a lawnmower. We're not too far off. So I'm just going to switch it on. And the reason why I'm going to switch it on is I want you to hear it. And that's because the patient could not hear this upon attending. And as soon as I removed the wax, from half the wax even from the left side, he goes, "What's that noise?" And I goes, "Well, that's the suction machine." So he wasn't making reference to the suction noise inside the ear. This is when I had the sucker out of the ear. It was actually the suction pump itself. So I'm just going to switch it on. So I was holding the phone at a similar distance to where the patient would be sitting in relation to the suction machine, just so you've got a reference point there. And I would say, okay, it's not as loud as a lawnmower. A lawnmower would probably be 80 to 90 decibels. I would say this is about 70 to 80. Pretty noisy. And his wife was obviously not best pleased with him because she's been having to live with his hearing problems for the last few years. And obviously with COVID, it gave another reason for the patient not to have their ear cleans. There's no reason why he doesn't want to have his ear cleans. It's just us men, I'm guilty as charged. Sometimes we let things get fester and get worse. And there's always other things that sometimes can take priority. And with wax, I think the main defence of the patient, I was trying to stick up for him almost, but I was running out of any excuses on his behalf. But with earwax impaction, what can happen is that this wax buildup is a gradual process. It's a benign process. It's very slow. And for that reason, sometimes it can be difficult for people to realise that they are having problems with their hearing. For example, obviously as an audiologist, I help people with hearing loss by prescribing hearing aids. And on average, they say it takes about 10 years before someone can really detect that they've got a hearing problem, and we're to the point there they need to seek help. But that hearing loss, it's a gradual deterioration. When it's gradual, it kind of creeps up on you. And typically it's friends and family that notice first. And sometimes with earwax, because it's a gradual build-up, it becomes a norm almost, so to speak. People think, well, that's the way I should be hearing. If you lost your hearing suddenly overnight, then you've got that reference point to the day before. Oh, well, I'm definitely not hearing as well as I was the day before.